And one curious question, I think they're still doing it with the Western Governors Association. Do they still meet with the Secretary of the Interior in December, or did they stop doing that?
There's been a tradition to meet with the Secretary of Interior when they have their annual meeting in Washington, D.C., which is usually in late January, early February, and I would look forward to having the opportunity for that invitation. If you know anybody there that could be, send me one.
Well, just I knew that other governors are watching our discussion, so I want to make sure I got that out there.
I think your own Governor Polis may be the current chair.
This governor thing's getting kind of thick, isn't it?
Well, it's distilled down pretty much just us left. I want to talk a little bit about the Colorado River, and it's at least it's a 25-year drought, but a longer-term drought, and we're able to go back. This is the geologist in me, but there's sediments throughout the Grand Canyon that can be correlated, and this appears to be the worst drought in 10,000 years. I mean, this is a serious drought, and you've got 40 million people that depend on this, and we've been working aggressively with the lower basin states and the upper basin states. And one of the things I was, even before you began running for the highest office, the work that you did around water in North Dakota, where roughly it was the largest investments in water infrastructure ever, but half of it was for making sure you got clean water, and half of it was to make sure you were protecting against flood. I thought it was a great model for what the Department of Interior would have. And I think you have to kind of look at the Colorado River in that sense too. I think that the Bureau of Reclamation plays a significant role there, but I think a strong leader being able to find and incentivize those innovations of how do we make sure we're saving water and doing more with the water that we have rather than fighting over it. And there's a long tradition in the West of whiskeys for drinking, waters for fighting, as we said last week. Anyway, to speak a little bit about that, of how you look at of kind of working with the Colorado River, but there are a whole number of river basins that are in drought right now.
Yes, and we've got a tremendous water resource in this country. When we think about the Great Lakes, you think about the Columbia, you think about the Yukon, the Mississippi sometimes is flooding when the Colorado's in drought. We just maybe don't have it all in the right places at the right time, and where we've got population centers. And so I think, again, with smart planning, innovation, collaboration, when we've been successful in North Dakota with private-public partnerships, it's included, solutions, again, with great help from Senator Hoeven, playing a huge role on the federal. I mean, one of the projects we have there is a couple $2 billion. It's a third federal, it's a third local with a local sales tax, huge buy-in locally, and then the state stepping up and participating. So, and when we did that together, this project's going to get done in 6.5 or 7 years, as opposed to 20 or 25 or never. With something, because we have that experience in North Dakota too. We got water projects at the federal level that were started in the 1960s that still haven't fulfilled their full mission. Right. So anyway, I think there's an opportunity to work together to come up with solutions.
And that timeliness does magnify what can get done. The Bureau of Reclamation has done a lot of work in Colorado, I think across the West, and I think I'm universal that I haven't heard a single senator, Republican or Democrat, complain about how they've approached this. They have a bunch of projects that are midway, and I'm hopeful that I know there's going to be, there's a lot of talk about a tax cut and a lot of talk about how they're going to pay for that tax cut. Hopefully we can protect those funds that have been committed to various water projects, because the worst thing you can have, and this has happened to Colorado 2 or 3 times over the past several decades, where you get halfway out, you're building something, and then all of a sudden the support goes away.
Yeah, agree. Having a secure and predictable forms of capital for these projects. When you have the instability, the uncertainty, then the people that are bidding on the projects bid higher. They have to take out more risk on their side. Their insurance companies that are supporting them on the private side say, don't do this. When we were able to go to the private-public partnership and we could create certainty that they would have the permits, that lowered the cost dramatically, and not only the time to get it done, but it also lowered the cost.
That's music to my ears, and we agree completely. So we'll remember this conversation 3 years from now, and I'm sure who knows what the future will bring. But I appreciate that commitment to the long-term solutions. I think that is necessary on almost every level in this country.
Great, thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator Hoeven.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One quick item for the record. As you know, I've passed legislation to keep horses in the Theodore Roosevelt National Park. I'm a horse fan. You and your wife are horse fans. I just want to know that you'll commit to the record to continue to work on that very important issue with me.
Absolutely. For the record, people should know that as popular as Senator Hoeven is in our state, the horses in the national park have even more followers on social media than he does.
Yeah, no question. And then just one final item. I think you've demonstrated to both sides of the aisle your absolute willingness to work with everybody to achieve good outcomes and a good outcome for this country. And that's exactly what we want in somebody that goes into these important positions. And so thank you to Catherine. And then just if there's anything for the record that you want to add to the record, I would just give you this opportunity before turning things back to the chairman. And again, I want to thank both the chairman and the ranking member as well.
Well, the only thing I would do quickly is close with gratitude to Chairman Lee and Ranking Member Heinrich. Thank you for your time ahead of time. Thank you for making your members available to me for meetings ahead of time. And thanks for this great dialogue and discussion today. I've received a lot of invitations from members to come and visit. I would be remiss if I didn't, before I leave, to extend an invitation on behalf of Senator Hoeven, Senator Kramer, and myself to come to the grand opening of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library and Museum, which is currently scheduled for July 4th, 2026. It's an official USA 250 event. And of course, it's going to have an opportunity to tell the story of leadership and citizenship and conservation that really began during the time when Theodore Roosevelt spent time in North Dakota. His wife and his mother tragically died on the same day in the same house, on Valentine's Day of 1884, and he had a newborn infant daughter that was 2 days old. He handed that off to his sister, and he got on the train, and he was deeply despondent and went west and remade himself from the, he'd had a childhood of that was full of sickness, and he went from a sickly Easterner and became a rough and tumble Westerner cowboy, learned the hard way out there with a lot of time in the saddle, and built the Elkhorn Ranch. And from then he developed his thoughts about conservation in this country. And we know the story that went from there. That led him to become the Rough Rider that he was, that propelled him into becoming a governor, formed the National Governors Association, saved football. I mean, now the largest viewed sport. And the NCAA was formed because Theodore Roosevelt was listening to concerns from mothers whose too many of their sons were dying of head injuries playing football in the Ivy League schools without protections. And so he said, let's come up with some standard safety protections. So there's many stories about TR that haven't been told like that, but the only president to receive a Medal of Honor for his time in the military. One of his sons also received a Medal of Honor, who was there at Normandy in World War II. But incredible story, and of course Nobel Peace Prize that he received for negotiating the settlement between Russia and Japan. And he wrote more books than all the other presidents combined. He wrote more letters than Jefferson and Washington. We're in the process of digitizing all of that. This will be the first digital presidential library. It'll be one of the most sustainable buildings built in North America. And it's in the heart of the Badlands that he loved, at a gateway community that goes into the Theodore Roosevelt National Park. And in closing, I would say someone asked this 4th of July, are you going to have fireworks? Per tradition, when you open a presidential library, all living presidents are invited. So we may, if they all show up, we may not need to have additional fireworks. But it'll be great, because there's a lot of what we know about Theodore Roosevelt that still lives on today. And think about the discussions we're having. The Panama Canal wouldn't have happened without him, and how important that was for our country during World War II, and how important it is for our future going forward. So and water, of course, in Arizona, he was, some of the original water systems in Arizona were dedicated and created by Theodore Roosevelt. One of the first wildlife refuges that he made in the country was in North Dakota at Stump Lake. He sent us on a way to build out the national park system as we know it right now. So it's with a bit of serendipity and a great amount of excitement that as Secretary of Interior, I'll look forward to being at that opening along with all of you. This committee's all officially invited as of right now. It would be great to have you all there. And with that, again, thank you, senators, and especially thank you, Senator Hoeven and Kramer, for your folks, your support, your friendship, and your mentorship for all these years.
Thank you, Governor. It's been a great hearing, and I appreciate the participation of all the members, staff, members of the committee, and especially our Capitol Police Force keeping us safe today. I'm sure that given all the time he spent in North Dakota, Theodore Roosevelt learned correctly to pronounce the name of the animal that is called the bison.
It is. It does have a Z. I agree with.
It's got a Z.
B-I-Z.
It's a Z that, well, it's not a silent Z. It's just an invisible one. With all that,
Mr. Chairman, do you know what the Lady Buffalo said to her little boy as he was going off to school?
Oh no, I don't. What did he say?
Bye, son.
That's it.
I would also mention that Teddy Roosevelt coined.
I love it. I just love it.
Going to open up a whole new debate.
He coined the term malefactors of great wealth. I'll just leave it at that.
Hoeven's going to be telling that one for weeks. The record will stand open until 6 p.m. today for questions for the record. We stand adjourned.